I told you guys last week I was going to make this episode soon. Turns out it was sooner than I thought. A synopsis. The blobs on the back of the book, where it belongs. That gives readers the ability to know what the story is about and possibly even publishers the ability to know if it's right for them. How long a synopsis should be changes depending on the person and how much description they are willing to read. So there's not really a set word count that should fit onto their cover. Though it is pretty common knowledge that the more going on within a story, the longer the synopsis, with romance novels or books of poetry being the shortest. So with that being stated, let's get into everything you will need to include when writing a synopsis for your story. Starting off is the main character or character's name. Including this right off the bat helps the reader become aware of the perspective they will be following throughout the story, and even possibly some insight into who they are as a person. An example of this can be seen in the second line of the synopsis from my unpublished novel, Shrouded Personas. An assassin, Timbernar Sara, has turned to a more peaceful life upon graduating high school. Within this line, not only is the main character introduced, but the reader is also given a quick snapshot into their past. It doesn't matter that much on which line you introduce your character, but it is better to have it earlier on. If you have more than one main character, then you could go a few different ways about that. One could have them all briefly mentioned in one paragraph. The other could have a brief paragraph synopsis for each of the characters, their role, and a look into what their path is. Or you could have a paragraph for each character, and then the path they go about once they finally collide. So like say, two characters, so one paragraph, the other paragraph, and then the final paragraph is it when they're collided and like the plot of the story. Basically presenting the plot of a story. Though I'd recommend doing this when you only have 2 or perhaps 3 different POVs. If it's 4 or more, then it'd be better to have each paragraph dedicated to pairs. So for instance, 2 of your characters are siblings, then you can have a paragraph dedicated to them. Or if 2 of your other characters meet up in the story earlier on, then you can have a paragraph dedicated to them. Same if they're lovers. Now for the next part, providing a summary of your story, without giving any spoilers, of course. I said in my last episode that this can be done in either 3 points, beginning, middle, or end, or 5, exposition, rise in action, climax, falling action, cliffhanger / conclusion. Which summary to include depends solely on your story, though it would be though I would recommend less eventful stories like romance and short stories to be done in 3 points, while more eventful and dense stories should be done in 5 points. I'm pretty sure my example follows the 3 points, despite it being more dense and fantasy / adventure related. However, once a job comes up in Vacmite, she and her boss both agree that they should accept, no matter how sketchy it may be. Timber has to travel across an ocean with a crew of varying personalities and backgrounds in order to get the job done, and be able to support her boss and keep him going for just a little bit longer. Next up is outlining subplots. So for instance, a romance that could take place within the adventure. It doesn't look like it. I have included that in my synopsis though, but rereading it I should definitely modify it a bit. Then we have the premise of the story, which basically shines light on the genre, place, and actions. This is more commonly done throughout the synopsis paragraph, so for like the first line in my example, it shows a bit of dystopia. A world split up into 16 different nations, some more peaceful than others, some more prosperous than others. However, it's still understandable enough that it can actually be related to real life. Then, finally, there are rhetorical questions. Not all people like to see rhetorical questions on the backs of books, since it doesn't always give them a better look into what the story is about. but I personally enjoy them because it outlines the major events of the story and can even draw someone in due to their curiosity. Will she be able to get the job done with no issues at all, or will she have to resort to her teachings in order to survive in a lesser-known land? It's best to not overfill your synopsis with questions, so keep it to about 1 to 3, otherwise it'll cause the reader to lose interest. So now let's put it all together. A world split up into 16 different nations, some more peaceful than others, some more prosperous than others. An assassin, Timbernar Sara, has turned to a more peaceful life upon graduating high school. However, due to the poverty of her nation, Syrian, she is forced to struggle and persevere through her pain. However, once a job comes up in Vakmite, she and her boss both agree that they should accept no matter how sketchy it may be. Timber has to travel across an ocean with a crew of varying personalities and backgrounds in order to get the job done and be able to support her boss and keep him going for just a little longer. Will she be able to get the job done with no issues at all, or will she have to resort to her teachings in order to survive in a lesser-known land? Sounds interesting? Let me know in the comments below, or if you're listening on Spotify, then I will have a Q&A on this episode, where you'll be able to share your thoughts and feedback. And who knows, perhaps I could even make an episode where I go through the process of writing a synopsis, but for now, we should really get back to writing. Check out my novels Death Chill, Flame Rip, and Arctic Blaze on Amazon and Kobo, link in description. Check out the Creative Writing Club Premium on Patreon and Spotify, link in description. Check out the Creative Writing Club Discord server in the description. Check out my personal Instagram at dark_night_wolves. And let's bring this a formatively entertaining meeting to an ending.